Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the USS King Guided Missile Destroyer. It's a 1/500 scale kit from Revell in the SSP series, model kit number 85-0603. Now, the USS King was commissioned in 1960 and then classified as a destroyer leader as well, but later designated as DLG-10, and then it was reclassified once again as a guided missile destroyer DDG-41 in 1975. Now, it also carried a plethora of weaponry, and was even at one time and for much of its service fitted with a helicopter to rescue downed pilots. It was unfortunately scrapped in 1994. Now, the kit is a reissue of the original Revell Blueprint series kit, and Revell rates it a skill level 2 for the intermediate builder. It comes in 78 parts molded in gray plastic on 3 different sprues, and the kit features a display stand, the missile system, and its online boats. Overall, the dimensions are about 12 inches long and 1.5 inches wide when done. Construction for this kit is pretty basic. It's a simplified kit, and as expected from kits that are over 50 years old, this design has some flash and some issues that you'll have to fit and finish. It's not a contest model out of the box, but it could be the base for this subject matter of the Farragut style ships. And we're going to start with the conning tower, so grab these pieces and clean up any flash and sprue marks that you might need to, and get ready to assemble these. For the most part, we'll be using some liquid cement for most of the construction. Occasionally some super glue to tack things into position quickly, and sometimes even slow glue so that we can position things properly as they set. Now, we're going to begin, as we mentioned, with the conning tower. First, the front stack, the deck assembly go together, and you can see here we've pretty much numbered with the arrows the assembly sequence. And the conning tower simply snaps into the upper deck when it's finished. You probably won't even need any glue there, but be mindful of any seams, and also be mindful to use the manufacturer's safety and use suggestions for any of the products that you see or hear mentioned in the review. As you're test fitting the parts together, you may notice some ejector pin marks like this one in the square, or some flash that you'll pick up there. You might want to clean those up and fill those with putty, and then go ahead and construct the forward section there with the conning tower. Gather up the pieces for the main deck and the hull, and pay no attention to that large open area in the bottom of the hull. That's for making the boat lighter and faster. Anyway, now once you've got those together, you want to dry fit them first, and make sure that you remove any flash to get a good join, and then glue the pieces together in place. If you need to, use some clamps to hold it in position while it sets. While the deck and hull subassembly are drying, I thought it was a good time to go ahead and work on the base. As you can see here, pull these pieces out. They've been primed, and now you can put those together just by putting the spherical halves together and placing them into the base's bottoms. And then I painted mine brass just for a nice clean look. Now it's time to paint the upper deck, the main deck I should say, and the upper deck portion is either a deck wood or a deck tan, and then of course the fore and aft sections are steel colored. So go ahead and paint those at this time. Let that dry. Install the 2 anchors, one on each side on the fore section, and I've started painting the battleship gray on the sides, and a little blackening there around the anchor for so that you see a better definition of that. before you get too far along, you may notice that some of the holes for mounting some of the other features on the deck there are not quite opened enough. So just use the tip of your hobby blade and clean those out and turn them around a little bit to the proper size for insertion of those pieces later. Now you can gather these pieces, then the rear stack and the antenna mast and the radar array. So you can build those as you see here, or follow the instructions if you have those. And then notice that how the antenna array mounts directly to the top of the stack, and there's holes up there provided for that array. So that's where those will be glued into position. Get the life rafts out that will be placed on the side of the ship, and they'll be painted, of course, battleship gray for the mountings. And then I used like a go mango orange and then weathered that with some black wash to give it a more used appearance. So note the spacing here, and those holes that you opened up with your hobby knife will come in handy here, because that's how some of these are mounted, just top the deck there in front of the bulkheads. So go ahead and put those into position. There's 2 holes for each life raft, and glue those into place with some sparing glue. Now the black wash is really kind of a nice addition. It brings out the definition of features, and if you use it very lightly, like 50-50 with some thinner and acrylic paint, you can even wipe it off if you make a mistake. But it settles into creases and shows those small features that are hard to see with the eye. Also, if you use a little more or less paint, you can use it as a general wash on just about everything. Now we can grab the rudders and related parts for the props and shafts in the back there, and those are painted here with some primer, and then we're going to paint those, of course, the battleship gray like the ship, and the props are brass color. So we'll assemble those to the back end, as you can see here, and you attach those to the holes that are marked there, and you might need to clean them out a little bit, as we have done before, but get those set up and staged and ready for assembly. Now let's face it, this is a simplified kit, but the black wash, as you can see on the ladders there, going up the conning tower, etc., and inset in the openings here of the doorways, that was a little bit thicker black wash and was meant to give the appearance that the doors are open and you're looking into the hole. Now you could open those up, of course, but then you could see inside, so you would have to do a little finishing there if you wanted to make it look realistic. In this case, I just blacked it out, and then the bulkhead openings look like they're openings that you would see from a distance. So as you can see, the paint scheme here on the upper deck looked pretty much identical to the lower deck, main deck there, and of course the stacks at top are flat black. The life rafts, as you know, are orange, and then battleship gray for the rest. And we're going to dry fit the upper deck here to the lower main deck, and then go ahead and attach that after it is fitted properly. And there's some grooves in there, so it literally just snaps into place. And now overall for the ship, it's probably a good time to do any touch-ups with most of the painting done to get it nice and cleaned up for final display. Now the box art shows a black stripe here on the hull. It isn't seen in the instructions, but you can see it on the box art. So I decided to add that too, between the hull red and the battleship gray top section. Construct the lifeboats. There's 2 of them, one on each side, and they hang from a pulley system on some large racks and brackets, and those are battleship gray. The lifeboats a white color, and assemble those and install those into position midships. So get the pieces out for the launcher and the Terrier missiles, and paint those ahead of time. And by the way, this was the most advanced targeting system in existence at the time it was installed, and it's pretty easy to put these into position, and there are positive installation points on the deck, so go ahead and add that to the ship at this time. So get the rear guns out and the radar array there, and paint those battleship gray. And after they have dried, we'll position those assemblies towards the end of the build here so that it's a little easier when you're handling the ship, and put those into position with a little bit of glue, and we're buttoning things up. Now we can finish up by adding the decals to the ship's hull exterior there, and as you can see, she's coming together rather nicely, and she's ready for display. Well, there you have it. It'll be up to you to add the rigging if you like, and the flags. If you wish, there are online sources for those rigging instructions, and or the box art is a good example as well. I use that Easy Line product that's available from manufacturer out in the East Coast there. And if I were you, I'd get this very simple kit as a basis for a beautiful display with a little extra detailing. It makes great subject matter and a nice shelf sitter. Well, reintroduced in 2015, these kits are still out there on the online market, and I thank Revell for putting these back into production. And if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you liked this step-by-step model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can find us on Facebook and our website, rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.